Maybe you've been walking this path for a while now, meditating, reading, expanding your awareness, and yet something still aches inside. What no one tells you is this: when you begin to awaken, the first thing the light does is cast a shadow. This is not failure, this is the hidden doorway. There comes a moment for every true seeker when the very light they called upon begins to illuminate what they weren't ready to see. Old fears, unspoken grief, patterns buried deep in the unconscious. They rise uninvited like ghosts in a house you thought you had already cleansed. And that's where many turn back, because it's not what they expected, because expansion was supposed to feel good. But the universe has its own sacred rhythm, and before it lifts you, it will strip you, not to punish you, but to make sure you don't carry the illusion into the next vibration. This is what some call the dark night of the soul. It's not poetic, it's raw, like the woman who said she woke up one morning unable to pray, not because she didn't believe anymore, but because everything she believed was breaking apart inside her. If that's where you are, between the light you hoped for and the darkness that found you, let me say this gently: you're not broken. You're crossing a threshold that very few speak about, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Perhaps, just perhaps, this is what the universe was hiding all along, not to deceive you, but to prepare you. Are you ready to walk through? It sounds strange, doesn't it? That even the higher self, this version of you that's supposed to be enlightened, can become a mask. But it happens. More often than we admit, you start to awaken, you let go of old identities, and then quietly, a new identity forms. You become the one who meditates more, who knows more, who feels more connected than the rest. But here's the trap: you're still building an ego, just one dressed in white robes. Loner Wolf calls this the spiritual ego, a clever version of the same illusion. And the danger isn't that you think you're better than others, it's that you stop being honest with yourself. So here's a practice. Take a quiet moment today, open your journal and write. 3 times this week, I felt spiritually above someone else. Where was I judging instead of connecting? This is not about shame, it's about truth. And truth clears the fog like sunlight through mist. There's a part of you that you've hidden, even from yourself. Carl Jung called it the shadow. It's not evil, it's not dark by nature, it's simply the part of you you've rejected. Maybe it's your anger, your fear, your jealousy, your doubt, and as long as it stays unconscious, it will run your life, especially on your so-called spiritual path. Have you noticed how a simple comment, a subtle critique, can stir up something that feels way bigger than the moment? That's not just emotion, that's the shadow projecting. It's not here to harm you, it's here to be seen. So let's try something. Close your eyes. Imagine you're walking down into a basement. There's a box in the corner. Inside is the one belief that keeps looping in your life. What is it? Name it. Breathe with it. You've just touched your shadow. And that is the beginning of real integration. There's something seductive about altered states of consciousness, the stillness of deep meditation, the visions from breathwork, even the spiritual highs from plant medicine. And yet, sometimes these states become a place to hide, because when you're up there, you don't have to face what's down here. But expansion isn't just about escaping gravity, it's about coming back down with eyes that see more clearly. Neuroscience calls this de-automatization. Your brain drops habitual patterns. You become more open, more sensitive, and sometimes more vulnerable. So here's a practice. After your next elevated state, sit with yourself, breathe, and ask, does this truth I saw up there resonate in my body? Does it move my emotions in a grounded, gentle way? If it doesn't, then maybe it was just a beautiful illusion, and that's okay. But awareness is everything. We all want to belong, especially when we feel spiritually alone. But belonging can become dangerous when the group replaces your intuition, when a teacher's word becomes law, when doubts are labeled as resistance, when abuse is brushed off as part of the path. That's not awakening. That's spiritual bypass in disguise. Real community welcomes your questions. It honors your sovereignty. It makes you more, not less, yourself. Here's a reflection. Write down 3 behaviors or beliefs from your spiritual circle that you accepted but wouldn't follow outside of it. Ask, am I expanding here or just surrendering my voice to be loved? The truth may be uncomfortable, but it will set you free. You're not just healing your wounds. You're walking with the wounds of your ancestors, of your culture, of your lineage. The deeper you go, the more the collective starts to speak. One man, in meditation, began to cry uncontrollably. He felt taken over, not by fear, but by something ancient, a grief that wasn't his alone. He later realized it was his grandmother's sorrow, never spoken aloud. You see, archetypes live in us, old symbols, collective memories, patterns passed through time. So let's meet one. Close your eyes, ask, what energy is visiting me lately? Anger, fear, protection, wildness. Now imagine it as a figure. What do they look like? What are they trying to say? This is called active imagination. It's a sacred dialogue, one that can reveal more than any book ever will. And let's remember where we've walked. We saw how the ego can dress in spiritual robes, how the shadow waits in silence, how altered states can blind as much as they enlighten, how communities can both hold and harm, and how the past, ancestral and collective, breathes through our present. So how do we stay whole in a world that pulls us apart? We integrate, not by force, not by fixing, but by presence. Here's your 5-day invitation. Day 1, journal, honestly. What part of you are you still afraid to feel? Day 2, meditate in silence, just listening, no goal. Day 3, write a letter to your shadow, let it respond. Day 4, speak your truth to someone safe. Day 5, sit with a candle, no words, just watch the flame. Breathe, let it show you something, because expanding isn't about flying above the darkness. It's about dancing with it until both light and shadow become your sacred teachers. And maybe, just maybe, this is what the universe was waiting for all along, that you become whole, not perfect, but whole.